Guys, I just can't thank the folks standing beside me enough for this historic session. This year's budget truly is historic. The 2020 budget received overwhelming support in both the House and the Senate. We broke several records when it comes to funding core services. We put Oklahoma on a fantastic platform to have $1 billion in savings at the end of next year, which would be a historical high number with our $200 million in savings that we got this year. It's fantastic. And for the first time in state history, Oklahoma teachers will receive a pay raise for the second year in a row. This is going to go a long ways to letting teachers know how valued they are, how the folks up here, the House, the Senate, the governor's office, we value education in Oklahoma. We're going to continue to push the needle. We're going to continue to encourage the best teachers teaching our young people in the classroom. We also put $74 million into the funding formula, which would allow our superintendents, our local school districts to also invest where they see necessary. And 2009 was our historic high water mark in education funding. So to let everybody know, that was $2.5 billion that we funded public education in 2009. That was before the downturn. And I'm excited to say that we are at the highest levels we've ever been. We're now $538 million above the 2009 level. So we're going to fund over $3 billion to public education. So it's a fantastic start. Also, another first time in state history, the Department of Transportation will have a fully funded road and bridge fund for their 8-year plan, and that's peaked out at $575 million, as well as we returned $30 million to our local counties to give back to make sure that they fully funded their 5-year plan. For the first time in state history, for the second year in a row, our state employees are receiving another pay raise. It's also important to note that we have funded a digital modernization to actually bring Oklahoma state government into the 21st century. When you think about technology, this, in our opinion up here, is going to make government more transparent, more cost efficient, and more customer focused. The criminal justice area, we have funded $10 million in smart on crime initiatives. We have provided $20 million to the district attorneys that makes historic changes, and we took the 991 fees and the supervision fees and we actually redirected those to the legislature to make sure there's no conflicts of interest on fines, fees to folks that are working their way back into society. For the first time in state history, Oklahoma will make the largest deposit into the Quick Action Closing Fund. This is so important for state leaders to have the opportunity to compete and win as we grow our economy and we compete against other states and we win fantastic new companies moving into our state. So there are many, many major accomplishments. I cannot do it without the bold vision of the Pro Tem Treat, the Speaker of the House, the Chairman Wallace of the Appropriations on the House side, Chairman
Thompson. so easy to forget.
Chairman Thompson and my secretary Rogers, the names are it's pretty close. So we always kind of joke in our office, but it's been a fantastic session, and can't thank these guys enough for their bold leadership. And I want to turn it over to the Pro Tem to give a few remarks.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Mr. Speaker.
Pro Tem.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting. I'm the reason we were late. My daughter, the first day out of school, I said, hey, let's go get 3 teeth pulled. And so she's sitting over here with gauze in her mouth, and I apologize for that. But I don't apologize for the session. It's been awesome. It's an A+ session. I think our budget is an A+ budget. This session has been by far the most productive session I've been involved in, and I've been here since 2011. Appreciate the governor's leadership. I really appreciate your vision to save $200 million, and we were able to achieve that to be able to be in a much better position. I appreciate the Speaker's leadership, your partnership. It's been an extremely productive session working with these two gentlemen on each side of me. It's also been a session that we tried to devolve power in the Senate to subcommittee chairs in a much greater way than we have in the past. And Senator Roger Thompson has done a tremendous job leading that effort in the Senate, getting the entire Senate involved through subcommittees, both Republicans and Democrats. And they have had more input in this budget than any budget I've ever seen with subcommittee chairs, working with their counterparts in the House and actually having substantive input into the budget. This session started off with a bang. It started off with government accountability being signed into law very early on, being in this blue room with both the Speaker and the Governor, signing the landmark reform that will change the way we govern in Oklahoma for the next century. I was extremely excited to be a part of that. We've got constitutional carry to the Governor's desk very early on. We have historic investments in mental health. We have historic investments, continued investments in education. I am so excited to be a part of this team. I obviously represent the Senate, and I will boldly and unapologetically fight for the prerogatives of the Senate, but when we work together, we can move this state forward. And I think that the gentlemen to my left and right, I am so honored to be up here with them today, honored to be up here with Senator Thompson. Next session, I think, will be even better because we put ourselves on a trajectory to be fiscally responsible, to continue to move the needle on criminal justice reform, and we will continue to work. Our work does not stop on signing day. It will continue. We will be setting our agenda for next year, and we will continue to have bold ideas that we advance. I just honored to be here today. Thank you.
Mr. Pro Tem. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you.
Governor. Ladies and gentlemen, I echo the previous words. It has been a very successful first half of the 57th legislature. You know, a lot of people don't understand, don't know, don't see the mechanics of what takes place during a legislative year to come to an agreed upon budget. And a budget that is as robust as this budget is for the state of Oklahoma, but that is forward thinking and forward looking. You know, we have put aside $200 million in savings this year. And just think where we've been in the last 2 years. We spent down our rainy day fund well below $100 million in the last contraction. When the deposits made at the end of June and with the $200 million set aside, we're going to be above $1.1 billion in savings for the state of Oklahoma for future events. And nobody can foresee the future. Take, for instance, what's going on in the state of Oklahoma right now, just with weather patterns in the state. The damage that is being impacted, inflicted upon our state right now. We will have to answer that soon. Nobody predicted that. And so just as that is an immediate event that we're having to deal with in the state, in the future, there will be other unforeseen things. This budget, the governor and the Senate Pro Tem have already spoken about many of the positive things about this budget. Being a leader from the rural parts of the state, I can tell you the investment into health care through the nursing homes is tremendous in this budget. The money set aside for the DDSD wait list is very important. The provider rate increases. The money for county road and bridges over and above the $120 million it receives every year. Education funding for schools. The concurrent enrollment funding through higher ed, so our students now in seniors in the state of Oklahoma, that program is fully funded. State employee pay raises, building off of what was accomplished last year. Pay raises in higher ed, which closes the gap in between the pay raises that we've done for common ed teachers, which built a bigger gap in disparity between pay and higher ed. All of these are just additional positive issues and that were accomplished this session. I'm very proud of the House of Representatives, not only the work that our members put into it, but their cooperation with the Senate and with the governor's office. I want to commend both my chairs in the House of Representatives, Appropriations Chair Kevin Wallace, Vice Chairman Kyle Hilbert, who are here with me today. This, and ironically, they probably start on next year's budget in about 4 weeks. So, Mr. Chairmans, enjoy a few weeks, and we'll see you back to start on next year very soon. But the work that goes into this, never in my career, and I cannot find anybody that have served in the House of Representatives previously that have seen 100% of Republicans voting for a budget on the floor of the House. 100% of all Republicans voting on the GA bill in the House of Representatives supported this budget. And that says a lot about the cooperation, the collaboration, and the work that went into it. I think this year has been a tremendous year for the state of Oklahoma, for the House of Representatives, for the Senate, and for the governor. And we will build off that. I think we can make it better, and I'm excited. I think the trajectory of our state is improving, and that our state's never been more sound, more solid, and more attentive to the people of the state of Oklahoma and what they are indicating they want to see from their elected officials. Once again, Governor, an honor to work with you this session. Look forward to working with you in the interim. Mr. Pro Tem, thank you as well.
Thank you. Thanks so much. We'll take just a couple of questions, and then we'll start signing these GA bills.
What are your priorities going to be going into next session? Top priorities.
Well, I know that I'll let these guys speak for themselves, but with our team, you know, we've set a goal, and my vision for Oklahoma is to be top 10 in everything that we do. And so as I've worked through my cabinet secretaries and challenged each one of them to start setting 4 years, 1 year quarterly goals, then they are now meeting with the different 120 state agencies, like the Department of Transportation, and having them come up with a game plan for how they can become top 10 in bridge conditions, top 10 in pavement conditions, top 10 in road conditions. And so, there are so many goals that we're putting together. It'll come up in a strategy session that I'll hold with my team later on this year as we get prepared for the 2020 session. And I'm sure that the Pro Tem, the Speaker are doing the same things. Then the three of us will sit down and figure out kind of what we want our goals to be and how we can move forward together next year.
One of the goals I think that you may have expressed before, I think they missed your press conference meeting, was healthcare expansion, some sort of concept consideration of an Oklahoma plan for accepting federal dollars. I think you said you intended to try to have something over the fall. So two questions, I guess. One, some of the rumor in the Capitol was that your administration was maybe pumping the brakes a little bit on it to try to get some better numbers. Is that the case? And then two, what do you hope to accomplish on that topic?
Well, I don't know if we're pumping the brakes. I've had over 100 Oklahomans from the industry and from all over the state working diligently, meeting once a week, giving ideas and thoughts. And I know the Speaker and the Pro Tem, healthcare is such an important part of state government that we're going to put our heads together and we're going to come up with an Oklahoma plan, a Plan A that delivers services, that provides access to primary care throughout the state. And like you said, my goal is to get that ready to go by the fall, October. And so I'm going to be working with some other states and looking at their plans. And then I want to come out boldly and let Oklahomans know here's the right plan for Oklahoma. So we've got a lot of smart people on that. I'm not ready to roll that plan out yet, but I will be in the fall.
And it will be some sort of plan designed to capture the Medicaid expansion money?
No.
Okay, so you won't seek a federal waiver to come up with an Oklahoma plan to get those enhanced Medicaid?
I mean, it's all part of the discussion. Your question was, would it include Medicaid expansion? And the answer to that is no. I mean, we will look at every federal dollar we can get. We will look at waivers. We were in discussion with the Trump administration. There is a great solution for Oklahoma, and what that looks like, I don't know yet. But the right solution is not just straight up Medicaid expansion like some people want Oklahomans to think. But I will have a plan and be bold in presenting that to Oklahomans as the direction we need to go.
You had a chance to meet with Senator McCourtney and Representative McIntyre, who were kind of working on a plan this session that would be sort of a hybrid, it sounded like. Have you been able to meet with them, or are you aware of that?
Absolutely. I know Senator McCourtney is doing a great job, and this is a passion of his, and a smart guy on this issue. He will obviously be brought in and with our team, and his input is very, very valuable, and I know the Pro Tem will give his guidance on what needs to happen. But I have not personally sat down with McCourtney and looked at his plan.
Has he asked you to?
No, I don't think so.
Governor, one of the concerns about this budget that you're about to sign that I've heard from the other side of the aisle was that it didn't do enough for criminal justice. Can you respond to that?
I think it did we did a tremendous amount for criminal justice. The first thing that's never been done before is our district attorneys. They have such a tough job of keeping our public safe, but the issue, I wanted to take away any incentive for them to have fines and fees, to have to fund their budget through extracting fees from folks. So this was historic. We actually, and that was Senator Thompson worked tremendously on this, and we got the supervision fees, the 991 fees now redirected to the legislature. We fully funded the district attorneys. We actually gave them $1.5 million more to hire assistants, to give raises, to make sure that they can pay market with their folks. But that was historic. And then, thanks to the Pro Tem's leadership yesterday, we got that's the 780 bill that took the 1269 bill across the, it was I get confused on all the different terms. It was the 1269 bill, but it basically took, Oklahomans wanted people, nonviolent drug offenders, out of prison. And so this will take about 700 folks. It'll run them through the pardon and parole system. So that was a great piece of legislation that passed. We funded $10 million to diversion programs, to the mental health department that actually is going to be smart on crime initiatives. So we had a licensing reform, helping these folks get back into the workforce. So I'm really excited about what we've done. Next year, we're working on, I signed an executive order to do some classification so we can look at what is a violent crime, what is a nonviolent crime. Then we can have bail reform, we can have sentencing reform once we get some classifications done. That should be ready to go for next session as well. I'm looking forward to working with their teams on that as well. Last question before we start signing.
One of the bills that was sent to your desk, and you may or may not sign it, does away with the April 1st funding deadline for the legislature to basically fund common education by April 1. Do you have thoughts about that deadline in general?
Sure. Well, this is my first session, of course. I don't understand why that was even passed initially, but yes, I plan on signing that. The education is such a big, important piece of this budget. To kind of break that out on April 1st, it doesn't make sense to me. I know that the Senate and the House have that on my desk. We've got a fantastic plan for education. It's going to be signed right here on May 24th. So put an artificial date early just didn't make sense to me. Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.